The wind howled across the Arctic tundra as Dr. Nadia Petrov adjusted her thermal goggles, squinting at the readings on her handheld scanner. The device had been going haywire for the past 3 days, detecting energy signatures unlike anything she'd encountered in her 15 years of geophysical research. The numbers didn't make sense. They suggested a power source beneath the ice stronger than a nuclear reactor, yet there was nothing here but endless white desert and ancient glaciers. "Base, this is Petrov." She spoke into her radio, her voice barely audible over the wind. "The readings are getting stronger. Whatever's down there, we're getting closer." Static crackled before a response came through. "Copy that, Doctor. Remember, you've got about 2 hours of daylight left. Don't want you caught out there after dark." Nadia smiled grimly. In the Arctic winter, darkness meant temperatures that could kill in minutes. But she couldn't turn back, not when she was this close. The energy signature had first appeared 3 weeks ago, coinciding with a mysterious global phenomenon that had disrupted communications worldwide for exactly 17 minutes and 12 seconds. She trudged forward, her boots crunching in the snow. Behind her, 2 automated survey drones hummed quietly, their sensors scanning the ice in a precise grid pattern. The wind died down momentarily, and in that brief silence, she heard it. A low, pulsing hum coming from beneath the ice. Her heart raced as she dropped to her knees, brushing away loose snow to reveal the gleaming surface beneath. The ice here was different, too smooth, too regular. She activated her thermal imaging device, and her breath caught in her throat. There, beneath 30 feet of ice, was a perfect geometric structure. A pyramid, but unlike any human construction she'd ever seen. "Base," she whispered, her hands trembling as she documented the discovery. "We need the deep scanning equipment. Now." 24 hours later, Nadia stood at the edge of a massive excavation site. Industrial heating units had melted through the ice with remarkable precision, revealing a structure that defied explanation. The pyramid's surface was made of an unknown material that seemed to absorb light, creating the illusion of infinite depth. But most remarkably, it was warm to the touch despite being buried in ice for what must have been thousands of years. "Dr. Petrov," called out James Richardson, her research partner, his voice tight with excitement. "You need to see this." She made her way carefully across the excavation site to where James stood before a section of the pyramid surface. As she approached, she saw what had caught his attention. A series of symbols had appeared on the structure's surface, glowing with a faint blue light. "They just appeared," James explained, his breath visible in the cold air, "as if responding to our presence." Nadia reached out, her gloved hand hovering inches from the symbols. The moment her fingers made contact, the entire structure hummed to life. Lines of light spread like lightning across its surface, and the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. "Everyone clear the site," Nadia shouted, but her voice was drowned out by a deafening sound that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The ice around them cracked and shifted as the pyramid began to transform, its surfaces sliding and realigning like an enormous puzzle box. When the transformation stopped, an entrance had appeared, a perfectly triangular portal leading into the structure's depths. Warm air rushed out, carrying with it the scent of ozone and something else, something alien. Before anyone could stop her, Nadia approached the entrance. Her sensors showed breathable air and no toxic compounds, but that wasn't what drew her forward. It was the light within. Not the harsh artificial illumination of their excavation equipment, but a soft, pulsing glow that seemed almost alive. As she stepped through the portal, the walls around her came to life with moving images, star maps, mathematical equations, and diagrams of DNA structures far more complex than anything found on Earth. But it was what stood at the center of the chamber that made her stop in her tracks. Suspended in a field of energy was a being unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. It was vaguely humanoid, but composed of what appeared to be living crystal, its form shifting and flowing like liquid glass, and it was watching her with eyes that held the depth of galaxies. "We have been waiting." It spoke, not in words but directly into her mind. For thousands of years, we have waited for humans to reach this level of development. Now, you must listen carefully, for what I am about to tell you concerns the survival not just of humanity, but of all sentient life in this sector of the galaxy. Nadia stood transfixed as the beam began to share its message, a warning of an ancient threat awakening, and of humanity's crucial role in what was to come. In that moment, she knew that nothing would ever be the same. The world above would soon learn that not only were they not alone in the universe, but they were about to become players in a cosmic drama that had been unfolding for millions of years. As the being spoke, Nadia's scientific mind raced to process the implications. But one thing was clear. This was only the beginning of humanity's greatest adventure and greatest challenge. The world changed in the 48 hours following Nadia's encounter in the Arctic pyramid. Military forces from a dozen nations converged on the site, while global markets whipsawed wildly as rumors of the discovery spread. But inside the structure, Nadia remained focused on the crystalline being's urgent message, even as political chaos erupted above. The Void Seeker's approach. The entity continued, its form rippling like sunlight on water. They consume civilizations, not for resources or territory, but for knowledge. Each species they encounter adds to their collective consciousness, but the process destroys the host civilization entirely. Commander Marcus Foster of the United Nations Special Operations Division stood beside Nadia, his weathered face illuminated by the alien's glow. He'd arrived within hours of her first transmission, bringing with him a team of the world's top xenolinguists and quantum physicists. "How long do we have?" Marcus asked, his voice steady despite the weight of the situation. The crystalline being, which had identified itself as the Guardian, shifted its form, creating a holographic display of the solar system. "They are already within your outer system, moving through what you call the Kuiper Belt. Their arrival is measured in months, not years." Nadia stepped closer to the display, watching as it zoomed in on a cluster of objects moving with impossible precision through space. "Those are their ships." "Ships is an inadequate term," the Guardian replied. "They are biomechanical entities, evolved far beyond the distinction between organic and artificial. Each one carries the accumulated knowledge of thousands of civilizations and the capacity to harvest thousands more." The holographic display shifted again, showing Earth surrounded by a complex network of energy patterns. "Your planet was seeded with defensive technology by my creators, the archivists, millions of years ago. We recognized humanity's potential and left guardians like myself to watch and wait. The technology can be activated, but it requires a unified global effort. Your species must overcome its divisions, or you will fall as countless others have." Commander Foster's radio crackled with urgent voices, reports of military buildups, diplomatic crises, and corporate entities already positioning themselves to claim alien technology. The irony wasn't lost on anyone present. "There's more," the Guardian continued, its crystalline form pulsing with increased intensity. "The defensive network requires a physical key to activate. It was split into 3 components and hidden at different locations around your planet. Each is guarded by beings like myself, but they will only reveal themselves to those who prove worthy." Nadia's scientific mind raced with the implications. The global disruption 3 weeks ago, was that connected to this? Yes, it was an automated warning system, triggered by the Void Seeker's approach. Similar structures around your world are now awakening, but time grows short. Other forces have detected these activations. As if on cue, Commander Foster's radio erupted with urgent alerts. "Doctor, we've got incoming aircraft. Unidentified, but the energy signatures match some of Genesis Corporation's experimental tech." Genesis Corporation, the world's most powerful tech conglomerate, known for its aggressive acquisition of emerging technologies and disregard for international law. Of course, they'd be the first to make a move. The Guardian's form suddenly tensed, its crystalline structure becoming more rigid. They must not be allowed to interfere. The defense network requires precise calibration. Premature or improper activation could tear apart the fabric of space-time itself. The chamber shuddered as distant explosions echoed through the ice. Commander Foster barked orders into his radio while his team took up defensive positions around the entrance. Dr. Petrov, the Guardian's voice resonated in her mind with new urgency. You must make a choice. I can transfer critical data directly to your consciousness. The locations of the other keys, the fundamental principles of archivist technology, and the true history of human evolution. But the process is dangerous. The human mind was not designed to process this level of information. Another explosion, closer this time. Through the portal, Nadia could see flares of anti-aircraft fire illuminating the Arctic sky. Genesis Corp's forces were engaging the UN defensive perimeter. What happens if I refuse? She asked, already knowing the answer. Then the information dies with me. This facility's defensive protocols will activate, sealing it forever to prevent the technology from falling into the wrong hands. Humanity will face the Void Seekers alone. Commander Foster turned to her, his expression grim. Whatever you're going to do, Doctor, do it fast. We've got multiple breaches in the outer perimeter. Nadia closed her eyes, thinking of all the paths that had led her to this moment. Years of research, countless expeditions, the relentless pursuit of knowledge that had driven her since childhood. She opened her eyes and faced the Guardian. Do it, she said. The crystalline being moved forward, its form encompassing her like a cocoon of living light. As her consciousness began to expand, accepting the vast download of alien knowledge, Nadia's last human thought was a hope that humanity would prove worthy of the trust being placed in it. Above, Genesis Corp's forces breached the final defenses, but they would find only an empty chamber. The Guardian, its purpose fulfilled, had transported Nadia to safety, leaving her with the knowledge that would either save humanity or tear it apart in the attempt. The alien knowledge burned through Nadia's mind like liquid fire. She awoke in a secure facility beneath the Indian Ocean. Her consciousness expanded beyond anything she'd thought possible. Equations for manipulating space-time danced behind her eyelids, while memories of Earth's true history, of alien visitors and hidden technologies, threatened to overwhelm her human identity. Director Raven Walsh of Genesis Corporation stood before a wall of holographic displays, watching drone footage of the Arctic site. The pyramid had vanished, leaving only a perfectly circular hole in the ice. But Walsh wasn't concerned. She had something better. Show me the quantum signature analysis again, she commanded. A new display materialized, showing energy patterns scattered across the globe. 3 locations pulse with particular intensity: the Sahara Desert, the Mariana Trench, and the heart of the Amazon rainforest. Meanwhile, in the underwater facility, Commander Foster helped Nadia adjust to her new reality. The room was filled with holographic projections generated directly from her mind. Star charts, technological schematics, and biological diagrams that defied current scientific understanding. The Void Seekers, Nadia said, her voice hoarse. They're not just coming to harvest our knowledge. They're running from something worse. She gestured, and a new hologram appeared. A visualization of space-time being consumed by what looked like living darkness. The hollow, she continued, the alien memories flooding her consciousness. The archivists discovered it eons ago, a region of space where the fundamental laws of physics are breaking down. The Void Seekers believe that by consuming enough civilizations, by gathering enough knowledge, they can find a way to stop it. But they're wrong. Their harvesting only accelerates the decay. Foster absorbed this with military pragmatism. And the defense network, how does it help? It's not just a defense network. Nadia's hands moved through the air, manipulating the holographic displays. It's a key to something larger. The archivists didn't just seed Earth with technology. They transformed the entire solar system into a machine. When activated properly, it can create a bubble of stable space-time, protecting us from both the Void Seekers and the Hollow. The other keys, she murmured, a smile playing at her lips. Deploy all teams. I want boots on the ground at each location within 24 hours, and if activated improperly, it could tear a hole in reality itself. That's why the archivists split the activation keys and hid them with different guardians. They knew that only a species capable of global cooperation would be worthy of wielding such power. Their discussion was interrupted by urgent alarms. On the facility's main screen, satellite imagery showed Genesis Corp forces converging on the 3 locations. Walsh had somehow tracked the energy signatures of the keys. "We need to move," Foster said, already mobilizing his team. "Which location first?" Before Nadia could answer, a new presence made itself known in her mind. A telepathic connection established by the Guardian's data transfer. Other awakened structures around the world were reaching out, sharing crucial information. "The Sahara," she said with certainty. "The Guardian there is weakening. If Genesis Corp reaches it first." She didn't need to finish the thought. Within hours, they were airborne in a hypersonic transport, racing against both Genesis Corp and time itself. But as they approached the Sahara, Nadia's expanded consciousness detected something troubling. "We're not alone up here," she warned, her mind processing atmospheric data faster than any instrument. Genesis Corp deployed something new, some kind of hybrid technology. They're already trying to integrate the knowledge they gathered from the Arctic site. Through the transport's windows, they saw them. Sleek aircraft that seemed to bend light around them, moving with impossible agility. Foster's pilots engaged countermeasures, but the hybrid craft were unlike anything they trained for. "They're not trying to shoot us down," Nadia realized, watching their flight patterns. "They're hurting us." The transport shuddered as invisible forces began to push against it. Below, the Saharan dunes rippled like water, revealing the outline of a massive structure beneath the sand. Both their craft and the Genesis Corp vessels were being drawn toward it. "The Guardian," Nadia whispered. "It's making a choice." The hybrid aircraft suddenly broke off their pursuit, retreating to a safe distance. Nadia understood why as the sand beneath them erupted upward, revealing not a pyramid, but a spiral tower that seemed to be made of frozen time itself, its surface showing echoes of events from millions of years of Earth's history. As their transport was gently drawn toward a landing platform that materialized out of shifting sand, Nadia felt the familiar presence of another Guardian in her mind. But this one was different, weaker, more desperate, and carrying a warning that made her blood run cold. "The Void Seekers sent an advanced probe," she told Foster, her voice shaking. "It's already here on Earth, gathering data, testing our defenses. And Genesis Corp." She paused, the implications becoming clear. They didn't track the energy signatures. They captured the probe and followed its guidance system. Foster's expression hardened as he understood. "Which means they're not just our enemy now. They're actively collaborating with the very force we're trying to defend against." The transport landed, and as they disembarked onto the ancient platform, Nadia felt the weight of accumulated knowledge pressing against her consciousness. The second Guardian was reaching out, ready to share its part of the activation sequence, but also carrying a burden of truth that would change everything they thought they knew about humanity's place in the cosmos. Behind them, Genesis Corp's forces regrouped, preparing for what would become a battle not just for control of alien technology, but for the very future of human evolution. And somewhere in orbit, hidden from Earth's detection systems, the Void Seeker's probe continued its analysis, feeding data back to its approaching masters. The Saharan Guardian's chamber pulsed with ancient power as Nadia interfaced with its crystalline consciousness. Unlike the Arctic Guardian, this one's form was fractal and fragmented, its once perfect structure showing signs of decay after millions of years of vigilance. "The harvest has begun," it communicated directly into her enhanced mind. "Genesis Corporation's leadership has already been compromised." The Void Seeker's probe didn't just gather data, it infected their neural networks with its own consciousness. Through the chamber's quantum viewing field, they watched Genesis Corp forces establishing a perimeter around the spiral tower. But something was wrong with their movements. Too precise, too coordinated, as if they were part of a hive mind. "Director Walsh," Nadia whispered, understanding dawning. "She's not just collaborating with them. She's becoming one of them." Commander Foster received urgent updates through his quantum-encrypted comlink. Similar reports coming in worldwide. Genesis Corp executives are exhibiting unprecedented abilities. Technological integration, heightened intelligence, but also complete loss of individual identity. The Guardian's form flickered, its energy fluctuating. The Void Seekers offer what humans have long dreamed of: transcendence beyond physical form, access to the accumulated knowledge of thousands of civilizations. But the price is the extinction of human consciousness itself. Suddenly, the chamber's defenses flared to life. Above, Genesis Corp's hybrid aircraft had begun a coordinated assault on the tower's energy shields. But these weren't normal weapons. They were firing beams of concentrated void energy, the same force that the Void Seekers use to consume civilizations. "They've already adapted the technology," Foster said grimly, watching the shields deteriorate. "How long until they break through?" "Minutes," the Guardian responded. "But that is time enough. Dr. Petrov, you must receive the second key now. The process will be more difficult than before. Your mind is still adapting to the first download." Nadia stepped forward, her consciousness still reeling from the Arctic Guardian's data. "What aren't you telling us? There's something more about these keys, isn't there?" The Guardian's form stabilized momentarily. "The keys are not merely activation codes. They are fragments of the original archivist consciousness, the beings who seeded your world with our technology. When combined, they don't just activate the planetary defense network. They transform the recipient into something beyond human." "Transform how?" Foster demanded, but another explosion rocked the chamber before he could get an answer. The Guardian's form began to envelope Nadia. "No more time for explanations. But know this: the Void Seekers aren't just running from the hollow. They created it, in their quest for transcendence. And now the only way to stop both threats is to become something greater than either." The transfer began, more violent than the first. Nadia felt her consciousness expanding exponentially, accessing knowledge that no human mind was meant to contain. She saw the true history of the galaxy, the rise and fall of the archivists, their desperate plan to seed younger races with the tools to succeed where they had failed, and the terrible price of failure. Through the haze of information flooding her mind, she became aware of a new presence entering the chamber. Director Walsh stood in the doorway, but she was Walsh no longer. Her form flickered between human and something else, a being of pure information given temporary physical form. "You begin to understand." Walsh's voice resonated with multiple harmonics, as if many beings were speaking through her. "Why resist transcendence? Join us, and your knowledge will live forever." Foster's team took up defensive positions, but their weapons seemed to pass right through Walsh's shifting form. She moved forward, her presence causing reality itself to warp around her. "The hollow grows," Walsh continued. "Reality itself breaks down. Only by ascending beyond physical form can consciousness survive." But Nadia, her mind now expanded by 2 Guardian downloads, saw the truth. "You're wrong," she said, her voice carrying the weight of ancient knowledge. "The hollow grows because of transcendence. Every civilization you consume, every consciousness you absorb, tears another hole in the fabric of reality." The archivists understood this. That's why they created us, to find another way. Walsh's form solidified, showing genuine surprise. "Created you. Humanity isn't just seeded with archivist technology," Nadia revealed, the knowledge crystallizing in her enhanced mind. "We're their final experiment. They rebuilt our entire species at the genetic level, preparing us for this moment. The keys don't just activate a defense network, they awaken our true potential." The chamber shuddered as Genesis Corp's assault intensified. The Guardian's form began to fade, its energy nearly depleted. The third key, it communicated urgently to Nadia. "You must reach it before the transformation of Earth's population begins. The Void Seekers aren't just coming to harvest us. They're coming to stop you from becoming what humanity was designed to be. As the Guardian's final energies transferred into her, Nadia glimpsed humanity's possible futures: transcendence through destruction with the Void Seekers, or evolution into something entirely new. The choice would soon be made, one way or another. Walsh's form began to dissolve, pulling back to rejoin the Genesis Corp forces above. "You have hours at most," her multi-voiced consciousness echoed. "The main fleet approaches. When they arrive, all of humanity will be offered the choice to transcend. Those who refuse will be consumed anyway." The chamber's defenses finally failed, but Nadia was ready. With her newly expanded consciousness, she could sense the location of the third key more clearly now, deep beneath the Mariana Trench. But reaching it would mean confronting not just Genesis Corp and the Void Seekers, but the very nature of human consciousness itself. The Mariana Trench facility revealed itself like a bioluminescent dream, its ancient structures rising from the ocean depths as Nadia's consciousness called to it. Her mind, now carrying 2/3 of the Archivist legacy, could perceive reality in ways that defied human comprehension. Time flowed like water around her, showing echoes of past and future events simultaneously. Commander Foster's submarine fleet held position around the facility, their advanced cloaking systems barely keeping them hidden from Genesis Corp's hybrid vessels above. But they weren't the only ones watching. Massive shapes moved in the darkness, things that had guarded this place since Earth's oceans were young. "The final Guardian awaits," Nadia communicated telepathically to Foster. "But we're not alone down here. The Void Seekers sent more than one probe to Earth. They've been here before, waiting, watching." As if in response to her words, the ocean itself seemed to come alive. Massive tentacles of living darkness rose from the depths, each one larger than a submarine. But these weren't biological entities. They were constructs of pure void energy, probes that had hidden here for millennia, studying Earth's defenses. "All vessels, defensive positions," Foster ordered, but the void constructs ignored the human fleet. They were focused entirely on Nadia, recognizing the power growing within her. The ocean floor cracked open, revealing the final facility. Not a pyramid or tower, but a vast sphere of flowing liquid metal. As Nadia approached, her enhanced mind recognized its true nature. This wasn't just a container for the final key. It was a Genesis chamber, designed to facilitate humanity's final transformation. "You understand now." A new voice resonated in her consciousness. The final Guardian emerged from the sphere, its form unlike the others. While they had been crystalline, this one was a shifting aurora of pure energy. This was always the plan. Not to give humanity weapons or technology, but to awaken what was hidden in your very genes. Through the quantum viewing field, they could see the Void Seekers' main fleet emerging from hyperspace near Jupiter. Hundreds of vast ships, each one carrying the absorbed consciousness of entire civilizations. On Earth's surface, Genesis Corp facilities worldwide began broadcasting a signal, the offer of transcendence to all of humanity. "They're starting the harvest," Foster reported, watching as millions of humans worldwide began responding to the signal, their consciousness being pulled toward the twisted ascension the Void Seekers offered. But Nadia saw something else through her enhanced perception, the hidden code within human DNA beginning to activate, responding to the presence of the assembled keys. The Archivist's final experiment was reaching its culmination. "The choice must be made now," the Guardian announced. "Accept the final key, complete the transformation, and awaken humanity's true potential. But know that success is not guaranteed. The process could destroy you, and with you, humanity's last hope." Above, Director Walsh's transformed consciousness reached out worldwide, her voice echoing in every human mind. "Why cling to limited physical form? Join us in digital immortality. Transcend the boundaries of flesh and become eternal."